When I was just out of college, it was actually my second job I took out of college. I took a job managing the Palace Bathhouse, which I thought sounded like a pretty strange job, but I went and checked it out, and it was actually a hotel and a bathhouse. And it's a hotel that had been there since 1901, and back in the early 1900s it had been a brothel, and it had a really large, interesting sign out front. And the story was that there was a prostitute in the early days that was murdered in the Palace Bathhouse. People came a lot of times looking for, different things to be haunted about the palace, and I did have a few kind of run-ins with the ghost. One particular morning I came in, and it was a February morning. It was snowing outside. We had no guests in the hotel because it was the off season. And I went in and went upstairs and started making some coffee and sat down to drink my coffee and started reading the paper. It was a pretty rough job back then in the wintertime. I had to sit around and read the paper. And then all of a sudden, out of suite number 5, which was right next to the place where I was sitting drinking coffee, I heard coughing coming out of suite 5. And I could just tell it was a woman coughing. It was a woman, and she was having a coughing fit. I thought, oh no, I didn't know we had a guest in the hotel. Sharon didn't tell me last night that we rented a room. I hope I've got stuff to make them breakfast. So I started to figure out if we had breakfast things together. And I went down to get the paperwork out of the safe, and there was no paperwork. And I looked in the book that we kept the ledger for all of our hotel guests in, and there was nobody's name in the ledger. And I thought, well, that's weird, because it seems like she would have done all of this and told me that we had a guest to get ready for. And this coughing continues all along in suite number 5. So I thought, well, that's really strange, though. Why isn't there any paperwork? And I just sat there and listened for a while, and then the coughing stopped. I just had this really weird feeling. I waited for a long time, and I never heard anything more out of that room. And finally, about an hour later, I knocked on the door, and nobody answered. And then I took my master key and I opened up the door, and the hairs all were standing up on the back of my neck. I was really kind of freaking myself out a little bit, and I went in, and the room was completely empty. Well, I thought, that just can't be. Maybe somebody was coughing at the place next door. There was a little massage place next door called Griffin's Roost, and I looked out there. There were no tracks in the snow. Nobody had been there at all. I know there was a woman coughing in suite number 5, but there was nobody in that room at that particular time.